I find no issue with it because, I just got back from the state auditors conference and my jaw dropped because the average salary right now that all state auditors are paying is $50,000. I asked this question, I said, what? Straight out of college, no experience, $50,000. Most of their management team are upwards of $100,000. And
but once that $50,000 salary
I
straight
don't
up,
know quants were paying that. I think it's worth it.
the additional bonus on top of the increase that you're now getting because you managed to get through the legislature are concurrence that we're going to adopt the Kerry study.
And for the office with the 10 employees that you have or whatever number you have, you need 60,000 for the certification or pay, or is that's in the event somebody else gets?
No, that's already funded. That's already funded. That's already in our That's if you turn to the schedule, we're talking 60,264 is the certification pay for 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 individuals.
Okay. I have nothing further. We stand in recess until...
Mr. Speaker, if I just may say, you and I both are very passionate. And I'll miss this exchange. Thank you.
I will need an additional $70,000 just to pay for the certification pay for those on my staff that are qualified. It wasn't in my budget request because I didn't ask for it. But if this legislature is going to leave it in the budget, then I will have to comply and provide them with their certification adjustment, and that would cost the office an additional $70,000. So I just point that out. But I can't tell you how wonderful the 5 Auditor 3s that stepped up to take over the management team of the office has been, and how smoothly it has run since then. They've taken over, and I feel so bad that they can't get one. We can't reclassify 3 of them, 4 of them. I mean, because all promotions and increments were suspended during the fiscal year. So I can't do any reclassifications and give them increments as minuscule as it is by comparison. But it is the Office of Public Accountability, and we have to live within the law, and we will live within the law. And if it is provided to us, we'll provide it to them. If it's not, then we'll have to tell them that it's not going to be provided.
Buenos dias, Dan Magluf, Zugi again. Welcome, Micronesia. My name is Troy Torres with Kandit News for your morning scoop. We have 2 stories to bring you today, and we'll make a couple of phone calls, maybe more than 2 if the government people don't answer their phones like they normally don't answer their phones. First is on tax refunds. So, first, Johnny Rosario brought you the story last night about how there's $69 million in Section 30 money that came into the Bank of Guam, according to Goody Rosario with the Department of Administration in an interview yesterday, Thursday. It came in to the Treasury of Guam, which is stored over at the Bank of Guam, and the trust account, which is at the Bank of Guam, which is a savings account, and so it accrues interest and all that stuff. It goes to the bank's portfolio. Anyway, aside from that, we knew from the conversation with Goody that $23 million from that 69 would be set aside for things other than tax refunds. 21 plus million dollars for the debt service on the 2016 Series C bonds, which was the refinancing of the BPT bonds, and then another 2.3 million earmarked to pay for the annual school maintenance costs for Ukudu High School. That is money that is contracted to the developer, and the developer is Guam Education Facilities Foundation through their certificates of participation. So that left $46 million behind. Barring any other sort of expenditure that the governor is authorized by law to make, it's $46 million, right? So we brought you the news for the past 2 days that $17 million of that it would be earmarked right away for prior year tax refunds that are owed to both corporations and to individual income filers. That's based off of the August 2019 report on tax refunds and what was processed and payable to people for prior years. Those moved to the front of the line. So you net out 17 million from that 46 million, and you get 29 million. Well, apparently there is another payment that the governor is making, because on the Patty Arroyo show earlier this morning, maybe about an hour or two ago, Governor Lulian Guerrero was on her show, and she told Patty that by the end of this week, they are releasing not 29 million, but $25 million in tax refunds for tax year 18 filers. And she said, according to her, that will get them up to speed with the April 15 filing date. What the governor is not saying is that they anticipate millions, tens of millions more in filings for tax refunds that will become processed after the April 15 filing date and that have not even yet been claimed, but will be claimed in the next couple of months. And so all of those people will need to go by the 6-month waiting line. On Kandit's Facebook page, I can't remember which post it was. Hold on 1 second. Oh, it was our 100 Days to Christmas post. One of our friends who's close with the administration argued with us that this is a matter of cash flow and that the law says to pay within 6 months. It's very true. It is a matter of cash flow, and the law says to pay within 6 months. But we responded, well, the people want their tax refunds in 2 days, so who wins, the law or the people? You know, they're the ones who elect the governor. So Kandit, and I'm sorry, and I forgot to mention, Governor Lulian Guerrero also mentioned the figure, $17 million in payments. While she didn't tell Patty Arroyo what that was, we know exactly what that is. That's $17 million that need to be paid to prior year refunds even before the payment of those $25 million to the 2018 refunds. So 25 plus 17 equals $42 million in tax refunds that will be released this week. There is a gap now that we don't know what else the governor is paying using the remainder of that Section 30 money, which is about $4 million. But, I mean, I just wanted to let you know, you heard it first on Kandit News. We had those numbers pretty right. And it was all based on the reports from the governor's office. Now, let me get to your comments and see if you guys have any questions regarding tax refunds before we get to the latest on the dengue outbreak or the dengue situation, which likely is an outbreak. Pardon me while I open the Facebook. Chelo, can you let me know whenever I need to look at that one chat room in WhatsApp? Oh, buenas, Jonathan Lamelo from Texas. Josephine Perez Blas says, hi, Tona. Annie Chrysostomos says, buenas, buenas. Anthony Chaco says, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Let me see if I can look at the other comments here. 1 second. Let me get to your comments. I'll be looking at the screen to see. Sorry, I can't see the comments from before, and I'm very sorry about that. There are 16 other comments that I cannot see right now. But as you comment, I'll be looking at the screen just to make sure, okay? Or maybe it's up here. Sorry, wait, hold on. My Facebook is slow. Oh, are you gonna put the comments on the screen?
Yeah.
You can do that. That's cool.
And then I just sent you something. Oh, wait. Okay, check it out. I just sent it to you.
Interesting. This is the Guam Board of Education.
I think so.
Oh my goodness. This dengue thing just keeps getting
More awesome and awesome.
more awesome and awesome, huh? Merry Christmas from the governor. Merry Christmas from the governor who's given all of us dengue for free. Not necessarily for free. For $250,000 in sole source vendor procurement for the, Crystal Paco said it's not called fumigation, for the spraying of insecticides at wherever. All right. Here's the latest regarding dengue.
The documents are being reviewed for violations right now.
Reviewed by the board?
By the source.
By the source? Okay. All right. John Fernandez, we were able to speak with him this morning. And, well, number one, what you should know is that the superintendent was informed of the student from Agata who was infected late Thursday evening. And according to the superintendent, the press release from Civil Defense about the infection went out that same night. But of course, at that time, no one knew it was a student. No one knew it was a Manila resident. No one knew it was a student of Agata Johnson. No one knew anything about Agata Johnson or Ordot Chalapalgo Elementary School until Sunday night when DOE sent out the release that schools would be closed. Those two schools would be closed for the spraying of insecticides, though DOE did not say anything about dengue. We found out actually live on this show that the dengue situation and the Agata Johnson and OCPES fumigation, I'm just going to call it fumigation, okay, because it's retarded to call it the spraying of insecticide. It's a fumigation. So the fumigation of those schools coincided with or had everything to do with the dengue outbreak. Though in the release from DOE, they never said anything about dengue, which was something that we asked John Fernandez. Here are the questions. Are other students suspected of being infected? Because we just, it doesn't make sense to us why, if the student lives in Manilao, travels to school at Agata Johnston, and at no time passes by Ordot Chalampago Elementary School, why would they fumigate Ordot at Chalampago Elementary School? Like if they were going to do that because of proximity or because of the area where the patient may have passed through and a mosquito could land on the patient, like the mosquitoes on top of my head right now, behind me on the screen, then why didn't they fumigate Father Duenas Memorial School, Evangelical Christian Academy, the Chalampago Church, the Ordot Church, the Chalampago Ordot Mayor's Office, the doctor's clinic or the dental clinic that's on the way to Ordot Chalampago Elementary School? So we began to think that the government may be hiding the fact that there are suspected cases of dengue fever aside from this one confirmed case. While John Fernandez can't answer that specifically as to whether there is another student, he says, I am only aware of the single case that public health identified and reported to the media. That's what John, and John Fernandez was made aware of it late Thursday night. We asked if it is so that that there is another suspected student, is that the real reason for the spraying of Ordot Chalampago Elementary School? John Fernandez says, my understanding is that the protocol being used is to spray in the general areas where mosquitoes may have transmitted the disease to the child. It was recommended to us that Agueda Johnson Middle School and OCPES be sprayed. When he says it was recommended to us, what he means by civil defense and public health. I clarify that this is not necessarily a school issue, but an issue of a general area where the mosquitoes might be located. My clarification was affirmed. The third question we asked him was, why wasn't DOE forthcoming about dengue being the reason for the spraying in the Sunday night release? His answer: I wouldn't say that DOE was not forthcoming, because the Joint Information Center was activated. All information should come from the Joint Information Center in order to ensure accurate and timely information is provided. We did put out a release to keep Ordot Chalampago Elementary School and Agueda Johnson Middle School closed because it was late in the evening and I wanted the word out as quickly as the decision was made. So here are some issues regarding that. The Joint Information Center was actually not activated until the governor issued the executive order declaring the emergency on Friday, the 13th. And even at that, the governor told no one, not even the legislature. She didn't even transmit the executive order until yesterday, Monday the 16th. Joint Information Center should have been activated around the time of Friday the 13th when the governor issued the emergency declaration, which means that between Thursday night, when the superintendent knew, and Friday, when the emergency declaration was issued, there was no Joint Information Center. So the decision regarding the health and safety of the students was between Thursday and Friday, not a matter of civil defense, but a matter of either the superintendent or the Board of Education. We just got information just right when we're coming on here. And there are more questions we asked, John. I'll go through that in just a second, but let me just, hold on. On April 27, 2016, a standard operating procedure was adopted, SOP number 1300-002, by the Superintendent of Education. At the time, it was John Fernandez, about what to do in emergency responses and how to handle emergency responses. It goes over. This is an SOP that had to have been approved by the board. There's a Marshall Sablon Elementary School Emergency Response Plan. There is, hold on. I hate it when the cigarette doesn't die right away. There's 84 pages of detail on how to handle an emergency response situation when something like the dengue fever outbreak happens. It was the SOP adopted by all of the schools. And this was just 2 years ago. And then, hold on. In it, it says emergencies can be small and easily managed, or they can be large and difficult. Every emergency must be managed in a way that ensures the safety of everyone involved. That is on page, I can't really see what page that is. The public information officer, so between Thursday and Friday, when there was no Joint Information Center, when all of the duties and responsibilities for emergency response within a DOE setting fell within DOE. Now, mind you, the superintendent knew that there was a student at Agueda Johnson who was infected with a confirmed case of dengue. He knew this late Thursday night. Yet, school was in session at Agueda Johnson the very next day. No one said anything. No one told any of the parents, any of the students, the teachers. Nobody knew, except for the DOE management, the governor, maybe civil defense, definitely public health, the territorial epidemiologist. Remember, the news about the confirmed case of dengue came on Wednesday, the 11th, and that was following the confirmation by the doctor on Tuesday, the 10th of September. The government has known for quite some time about this. In this emergency response plan within Department of Education, the policy says the public has the right and need to know important information related to an emergency or disaster at central office as soon as it is available. News media can play a key role in assisting the office in getting emergency disaster-related information to the public and to families. The startup actions include information release must be consistent, accurate, and timely. The information was not timely. It came out Sunday night, and even at that, it was not complete because the release that went out said nothing about dengue. Furthermore, the fact that there was some time to tell parents, hey, don't bring your kids to school tomorrow to Agata Johnston on Friday. I don't know, there's something wrong with the government. And then there is more information here. It says, when answering questions, be complete and truthful. This is DOE's policies, okay? Always considering confidentiality and an emotional impact. Avoid speculation, bluffing, lying, talking off the record, arguing, etc. Avoid using the phrase no comment. Ensure that announcements and other information are transmitted into other languages as needed. Was this done? I don't think so. I really don't think so. And there's definitely the need to translate things into other languages. We see that all the time in classrooms. Teachers know this best. There are standard operating procedures adopted or effective February 8, 2011 on communicable and reportable diseases. The purpose of this is providing guidelines in the management of communicable diseases at schools, like dengue fever is a communicable disease. The penalty for failure to adhere to these standard operating procedures, failure to adhere to this SOP may result in disciplinary action in accordance with the DOE personnel rules and regulations. So some sort of investigation ought to start from the Board of Education to see what the hell is going on here, because this is a very serious mistake that the government has made, that the consequence of which is the first dengue outbreak in 75 years. My goodness. Let's go back to, hold on.
I got the SOP if you want to run it.
Like page by page?
No, I just got the,
Because it's 84 pages.
I just got the cover.
Oh, there, yeah, you can show the cover.
Is it this one right here?
That's the 2011 SOP. Then there's the 84-page SOP. You want to show people that cover?
I emailed that. It's a PDF.
Okay.
I emailed it to you if you want to open it.
Oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. So the fourth question to John Fernandez this morning, which he answered, what has the vector control unit told you about the risk of infection at nearby Price Elementary? He said, I have no information regarding Price Elementary and no recommendation to spray there at this time. Just understand that after Friday, or from whatever time on Friday that the governor signed that executive order declaring the emergency, the decisions about what to say and what to do, even within the school setting, no longer belong to John Fernandez, but to the incident commander, who is the director of public health, and to the Joint Information Center, which should be commanded by the governor's director of communications. But as we understand, she's on leave. The acting director is Crystal Paco, and the Homeland Security Public Information Officer is Jenna Blas. And we're going to call her in just a second to ask about certain things. Number 5, is information being disseminated to all students and parents to help them to prevent infection? Mr. Fernandez responded, we will be providing information today that we received from public health yesterday. So parents, when your kids come home, please ask them for the information that the superintendent's office should have distributed to the kids for all the schools to send back to their parents. We asked Mr. Fernandez if the patient is recovering. He says, I have no further information on the patient. Then we asked, has DOE considered when this student will be allowed back on campus in relation to the incubation stage for transmittal from him or her to a mosquito within its 200-meter radius from the perimeter of the school. Mr. Fernandez responded, "This is a matter of ongoing discussion with public health." Then we asked him, "What about the student's ability to ride the bus?" Mr. Fernandez responded, "This is a matter of ongoing discussion with public health." And then we asked, "What other information is DOE withholding from the public regarding this public health crisis?" Mr. Fernandez responded, "At the moment, we are aware of the single case reported by public health. We are following their recommended protocol to provide access to OCPES and Agueda Johnson to spray. We have monitored the spraying to confirm that it is complete and to ensure a smooth return to campus. We are awaiting any further information and recommendations from public health, but for the moment, there is nothing else that I can add now that the spraying is complete." And then I asked one last thing, "When did public health tell you about the student?" He said, "I was aware on Thursday evening, right before they issued press release to inform the community." Public health never issued a press release informing the community that it was an Agueda Johnson student. The only people who knew that were the people in the government, apparently. Let's call Jenna Blatz for more information. He has the wrong number. Hi, Jenna. This is Troy Torres again.
Hi, Humphrey.
Hafaday, thank you very much for answering our questions yesterday as much as you could. Our viewers very much appreciated it.
No problem.
Hey, so we asked John Fernandez some questions this morning, and he answered some of them, which opens up, even more questions. And first, he told us that he was made aware by public health that a student at Agueda was infected on Thursday evening. Why didn't the government help in making any decision to not have kids at Agueda the following day?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
If the government knew and told Mr. Fernandez about the student at Agueda who was infected with the virus Thursday night, why didn't the government close down Agueda on Friday?
Okay, understood. I know that the decision for closing the school was made by Department of Education, but I can follow up and see exactly where the disconnect was or why they made the decision later.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't have that answer.
Jenna, exactly who is in command of this emergency operation?
The Department of Public Health has put up a plan. So they have full authority, and they're also working with all of the different stakeholders. They are very involved with the Environmental Protection Agency. They're federal partners with CDC, as well as the government of Guam.
Okay, because I understand that maybe the reason that the incident commander, whoever was in charge, did not make the decision between Thursday and Friday was because there was no command that was up until Friday when the executive order was signed, right?
Well, my understanding is that the closure of the school was specifically for the spraying of the school, not for students not to be near anyone that's infected. Again, it's not transferred human to human.
No. The government keeps saying that, and we understand that completely. But
Right.
the government keeps forgetting that the mosquitoes can bite the infected person and then transmit it.
Right. So I think that
And
closure
the
of school
entire
for the
reason for
people.
spraying the school was to get rid of those mosquitoes in case any of them were carrying the virus, right?
That's correct.
And the only reason that was a concern was because the student was a student at Agueda Johnson Middle School. So again, the thing
I
about not
understand the
closing the
question. I
school on
understand what you're
Friday,
saying.
you know,
I understand what you're saying.
so what you're saying is that was a DOE call.
They did make a decision to close the school for the spraying of the school.
But not
And
on Friday.
I understand that, not on Friday. I understand that the spraying of the school needs to be done when it's not raining and they're able to do so. So I can double check and see exactly, the decision process of how that was made and
Okay.
hopefully get an answer to you by today.
Is there an effort to disseminate like flyers or fact sheets or something to the parents of all the schools?
There are. So I know the Department of Public Health are working with Department of Education. There have been revisions to the specific letter and the fact sheets that will be disseminated, but I know that they are working hard on that.
Okay, okay. And do we have any idea about the condition of the patient? Is the patient okay in recovery?
So unfortunately, I won't be able to disclose any information about any the infected person or anything about the infected.
Jenna, is the government aware of any other suspected cases of dengue infection?
To my knowledge, there's only one confirmed case as well.
Is there any suspected case?
Unfortunately, I don't have that answer either. I'm sorry, Troy. I can try to get that information to you.
Yeah, can we get an answer to whether there are other cases of suspected infection and also John Fernandez confirms that with regard to the student being allowed to go back to school at whatever point that is that the incubation period for transmission is over, and also to ride the bus is an ongoing discussion that he's having with public health. Are you aware of those discussions?
I have not sat in with that discussion, but again, I'm taking note of your question, so we'll try to get an answer to you by today.
Okay, okay. And then when was the decision made to contract with the vendor, the spraying insecticide vendor? Was that decision made on Friday or Saturday or?
I had attended a meeting as early as Sunday, so I won't be able to speak on behalf of public health for what the decision was on Friday and Saturday, but I can definitely check on that.
I see. So that was a public health procurement then, because they are the
Yes,
incident
they
commander,
procured.
right?
That's correct.
Okay. And I just want to let you know that Ann Pobutsky has never called us.
I'm sorry?
Ann Pobutsky, the territorial
Oh, understood. Okay.
epidemiologist, has never called us. We did find her curriculum vitae, and we found out that she's not even a medical doctor.
Oh, okay, I'm not tracking that, but I will relay that.
And this apparently is her first stint as an epidemiologist on this island. Is the governor aware of that?
I won't be able to speak on behalf of the governor, but I can relay your questions to public health.
Okay. Is the Homeland Security Advisor then concerned about the lack of experience by Guam's territorial epidemiologists now that there is a matter that involves civil defense and the protection of the island?
So your question is if the Homeland Security Advisor is concerned?
Is he concerned about the lack of experience of our territorial epidemiologists, and also the progress or lack of progress being made by the incident commander?
Well, there's definitely major progress that has been happening. I know that there are a lot of strides that were made yesterday. And again, I'm careful. I really don't want to speak on behalf of public health, but what I will say is they are making all of their efforts known, and they are also making their efforts seen within the Mindanao village and at the two schools. They were able to do this successfully through Sunday and Monday. So I know that they just continue to work on it. I don't think that when you say that there's no clear direction, they are definitely following the direction and the protocol of their emergency plan.
Well, I'm just gonna put it out there though, Jenna, because just to be real, number one, we have our first local dengue outbreak in 75 years. That would be one. And number two, there was from Sunday to as late as last night mass confusion in the community about what was going on. So I'm not entirely certain that can be called progress, but you know what I'm saying?
I hear you, and I would even be careful in saying dengue outbreak. Again, there's only one confirmed case at this time.
Has Vector Control been able to test any more mosquitoes? I know they do weekly tests.
From my understanding, and what I was briefed on yesterday was they continue to collect, but they haven't found any mosquito that had carried the virus. So again, I'll receive another update through this afternoon. We continue to work closely with public health, so if we have any more information, we'll be able to put that out through the JIC.
One last question, Jenna. Is your agency in compliance with the Territory of Guam Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan?
Well, but definitely the Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan is an initiative out of our office working with all of the different stakeholders.
Okay, and so in keeping with the integrity of that plan, I mean, I guess maybe this is something to whitewash later or whatever, but the gaps in communication and in operations, are they being filled today? Because, you know what I'm
So
saying?
do you mean the gap in communications to the public or between interagency?
Even within the Department of Public Health itself. And interagency, yes. And is the Homeland Security Advisor on top of all of this?
Yes, he's very much involved. Very much involved.
Is the governor involved?
Yes, I did speak with Crystal earlier. I know that she did let me know that the governor is very involved. Again, I've also been working out of my office. You know, they work out of their respective office, and so does public health. And we just try to assist by disseminating their information as much as possible. So we're working closely with them.
I'm sorry. I know I said one last question. This, honest to God, is the last question.
No problem.
Jenna, has the governor's home been sprayed with insecticide?
Not to my knowledge. I'm not involved with any or personal. I'm not even too sure about that, but not to my knowledge.
So you don't know the vendor was used to spray the governor's home with insecticide?
No, not to my knowledge. Again, it's specific for the 200-meter radius of those residents in Manila. There are 82 homes that have been within that radius.
Do you think you could, whenever you pass these questions, the questions involving the things you weren't able to answer, when you pass that to Crystal, could you make sure to pass that last one along to Crystal as well? We really want to know whether the governor's home has been sprayed with insecticide.
No problem. No problem.
Thank you very much, Jenna. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, you have a good day. Oh, we're not done.
The number you have reached is not in.
Guam Visitors Bureau, how may I help you?
Hi, may I please speak with Pilar Laguardia?
Guam Visitors Bureau, how may I help you?
Hafide, may I please speak with Pilar Laguardia?
Please hold.
Thank you very much.
We are Guam, but what? This is 216. Press 1 to leave your message.
That's her direct line.
This is 482. Press 1 to leave your message. Press 1 to leave your invalid entry. Please try again. Press 1 to leave message. Please leave your message after the tone. Press pound when done.
Hi, Miss LaGuardia. This is Troy Torres with Kandit News. We're calling to ask you questions regarding whatever mitigation efforts the Guam Visitors Bureau is implementing right now, if any, to prevent or to stave off the loss of tourism numbers as a result of news about the dengue situation on Guam. Can you give me a call back, please, at 922-NEWS? That's 922-6397, or on my cell phone at 456-4237. You have a great day.
Press 1 to accept this message. Press 2. The recording is done. Please hang up.
So there's that. And all of that's supposed to be a part of the emergency response. They're supposed to be, at this stage, they're supposed to be concerned about tourism as well. And of course, it's a long-term concern, and it's a concern nonetheless. Let's just see if our government is thinking at that level already. Now, we asked Jenna Blas about whether the Office of Homeland Security, which falls under the governor, is in compliance with the territory's comprehensive emergency management plan. Here's an excerpt from it. Under rules and responsibilities, it says the governor is responsible for ensuring that Guam is adequately prepared to deal with disasters and emergencies, providing for the common defense and protection of the peace, health, and safety of the public. In that respect, the governor leads the territorial response, sets priorities for response and recovery, and provides direction to the Unified Command Group. There's no Unified Command Group. Everything is limited in ORC. A state of emergency must be declared by executive order or proclamation by the governor when an emergency or disaster has occurred or the threat of occurrence is imminent, which would have been about 3 weeks ago. And then under G, emergency declaration process, territorial and federal government. Number 2, territory emergency declaration process. If the emergency or disaster has the potential to exceed local capabilities, the governor, by executive order or proclamation, will declare a state of emergency for those impacted areas or areas in which the emergency or disaster is anticipated as defined in Guam Code Annotated Section 65107. Then further down, the process for declaring a state of emergency is as follows. The very first one. The public is alerted to and or warned of an imminent or actual event. Good job, Governor. Good job. So earlier this morning, Kandit did post, where is this? We did post up hold on one second. We can get this on the screen. We made a little meme. I made a meme, which is very surprising. Like, pigs are flying today. Because I mean, say what you want to say about the guy. And I've said lots of things about this guy. But I think you guys might agree with me on this one. Go ahead and cast to my screen. Just God, dengue, but no tax refunds, huh? Miss me now? I mean, the Governor Calvo would have handled this in a very different way. And if it had been allowed to get to the point, if his director of public health did not quarantine that very first case of suspected dengue, and it led to an Asian tiger mosquito on this island taking the dengue from that patient's blood and then transmitting it into a student and infecting that student, if nothing else, heads would have rolled. Like this. The director of public health would have been fired. Like nothing. The Homeland Security advisor, gone. Chief of staff, heads rolled. His staff, gone. That's That's the kind of leader Governor Calvo was. And it would have happened within a couple of days. He would have stood up an emergency operations center immediately, informed the public of the dangers, not allowed the kids to go to school, brought in everybody, and said, let's nip this in the bud right now. Instead, we have a governor today who apparently has no idea how to govern. None. She doesn't know how to get tax refunds to people, even though the money is sitting in her bank. And she doesn't know how to keep dengue from spreading on this island. Yeah. That's the sad reality that we live in, and that we can say that maybe we miss Governor Eddie Calvo and his leadership is a very sad commentary on the leadership of Governor Lulian Guerrero. Let me get to your comments. Oh shit, there's a lot of comments. Hold on. One more from the emergency response plan. Achieving and maintaining effective community preparedness reduces the immediate demands on response organizations. This level of preparedness requires constant public awareness and education programs to ensure people take appropriate advance actions to reduce their vulnerability during at least the initial 72 hours following an emergency or disaster. And that would have been 72 hours from September 10, when the dengue case was confirmed by the doctor to public health. Jesus. Maintaining a system of communications and warning. This is from the emergency response plan. To ensure that Guam's population and emergency response agencies are warned of developing emergency situations and can exchange emergency-related information and decisions. This would have been in the days leading up to September 10, between the period of the patient being suspected of having dengue fever and the time of laboratory confirmation to the doctor. Coordinating the release of public information in concert with the governor of Guam's communications director and or until activation of the Joint Information Center. The Office of the Governor of Guam maintains overall direction and control for response activities. All policy decisions shall be coordinated through the governor. You know, someone should let the governor know what her duties and responsibilities are, since she doesn't know them. Wait, thanks. I'm trying to open your comments. Merry Christmas. And dengue from the governor. It's your Christmas present. Okay. Thank you, Carl Blas, Joe Patrick, Cruz Canata, Vivian Castro Leon for joining. Hi, Pauline Camacho, Hafaday. Hafaday Carl. Borja Santiago Guam says, yeah, that's pretty sad on her part as a registered nurse. Lastima. Hi, Desiree Santos. Ramona Borja Gochin. Hi. Hi, John Salas. Jackie Castro, good morning. She says good morning to you too, Chelo. Rita Arceo is laughing. Jennifer Aquino is laughing. Rita Arceo. Richard Leon says, the Guam public notes that all those rehired losers by Little Lou LG say or voice their opinion and the impact of Guam agencies. Now Little Lou LG stands by herself, clueless it seems, and no typhoon. I really would hate to see how this governor handles a typhoon activation. That would be disastrous on its own. Oh yeah, thank you. Joe Nino de los Reyes says, what's the cutoff date for tax refund? So far, the administration has paid up to returns filed on February 21. But according to the governor on Patty Arroyo's show, they will be up to April 15 at some point this week. Trisha Velasco says, glad you're getting some answers for us, Troy. Seems like they don't have knowledge of anything. You're welcome. We're trying, Trisha. We're trying. Rita says, dad lie. Oz Octavio Bolinao Macroa says, is the band Malathion used for fumigation? Oh, I don't know. That's I even had problems pronouncing that word, but I don't. According to Nick Lee from Guam EPA, whatever they're using is okay for the people and the environment. Sam Luhan asked, was April tax coming out? The short answer is yes, this week. Hi, Amy Jackson. Rita Arceo says, Nurse Lou. Amy Jackson asks, where is the governor? Haven't heard from her. She says, symptomatic or not just to be safe. We also brought you last night some information that according to high-up sources at Father Duane's Memorial School, that they weren't told anything about this situation or how close Ground Zero is to their school. So they weren't even given an opportunity to plan things out for their students. Hi, Rena Canazza. Good morning. Buenas, Julissa Marie. Amy says they should test all those around the area. Rita Arceo's Hoffaday. Amy Jackson says, what about those who don't speak English? Well, exactly. That's why the policy or the standard operating procedures that DOE put into place in 2011 and 2016 mentioned that they need to translate things into languages where of the students who don't have, or the parents don't have a command of the English language. So the information that is sent home with the students need to be translated into Chuukese, Chamorro, Tagalog, all these different languages. Karen Otiwi says, good morning, Kandit. Thank you. Good morning, and thank you to you, too, for joining us. Amy Jackson says that Jenna talks really fast. Well, yeah. So I worked with Jenna. When I was the communications director. She was the new PIO for Homeland Security, and she was a fast learner. She picked up on things quickly. And then when I wasn't the communications director anymore, D. Cruz became sort of like Jenna's mentor and started teaching her all this stupid shit. It was really stupid. And I called them out several times for some stupid shit. But Jenna did do her best to answer our questions, and so we do thank her for that. Amy says she sounds like she's on the toilet. Thank you, Marie. Hi, Marie. Desiree Santos asked, if the governor was at Leo Palace on the weekend, I don't know. But I bet you the governor wasn't in Manilao over the weekend. I bet you the governor has not passed through Manilao since Tuesday, September 10. Hi, Kelly Hevlin. Hi, Tina Bamba Lizama. Hi, Joyce Castro Payet and Mark Anthony Tirlahi. Thank you guys for joining us. Emily Nangalta says, tag her. You mean the governor? I'm pretty sure she blocked me. Hi, Maria Baumgartner. Hi, Josh Taitsino. Hi, Jan Christopher Barcinas, who asked any info about the CNMI budget. I don't have any info. I didn't know that there was a budget issue, but you know what, Jan, I'll take a look. And tonight we will pioneer one of the segments we've been holding back called National and International and Regional News. Hafiday Dominic Kongakta. Hi, Janessa Pablo. 4 more comments. Oh, 1 second. Hang on. Let me just get to this. John Salas says, impeach her. Let's ask the people of Guam and their opinion. Kelly, yes, all is well except for my fat stomach, but I'm trying to get rid of that sucker. Thank you guys. It's lunchtime. I'm gonna go make spaghetti. We love you all. We'll see you tonight at what time, Chelu?
Whenever you say so.
Like 8-ish, 9-ish, like that. We'll see you tonight.